And my first question is, whose brainchild was this?
Well, this is the brainchild of Sister Maggie Antoine and the Tuskegee Parish Nurses Program. It started with a project with Dr. Molly Walker, who is a local pediatrician, dealing with the threat of childhood obesity. As we're finding nationwide, and in Alabama in particular, we have a lot of obese children, not just overweight or pleasantly plump children, but we have children who are showing evidence of pre-diabetes. And we know that diabetes is a chronic disease that has the potential of robbing them of their quality of life. So one of the things that the parish nurses looked at was the fact that we have a lot of children who don't eat vegetables. They'll go to McDonald's and the only vegetable they'll get will be the ketchup on their French fries. So looking at this problem, they came up with the idea of doing a community garden, soliciting children to work in the garden and introducing them to vegetables that they probably wouldn't have access to on their own. One of the things that the Parish Nurses Program does is that it works in conjunction with our churches and other entities in town. So we ended up building this partnership between the parish nurses, local churches, local businesses, the Cooperative Extension Program, and Tuskegee University. So it ends up being a multifaceted program. We all can't do everything, but we all can do a little bit of something.
Mrs. Antoine,
yes.
Other than being a woman and a mother and a grandmama that works on doing everything right, what made you come up with this?
Because as the Reverend Jones said, we are now seeing children who are type 2 diabetics. Traditionally, that has been a disease only. Type 2 has been for adults. But now because of the obesity rate, we are seeing children. And we know that as with any diabetes, if it's not properly managed, then of course it can affect not only their physical health, but their mental health also. So those are some of the things that we are looking at and trying to give back to the community and eradicating childhood obesity in our young people.
And Reverend Jones, not a lot of churches are doing this, so I understand you've been recognized outside of the community for this effort.
Yes, we're also a part of a study that's being conducted by the Howard University School of Religion. Dr. Alton Pollard III is the dean of the School of Religion, and they have a program or a project entitled Equipping Saints, and it's looking at ministries throughout the country in African American congregations, large churches, small churches, medium-sized churches, urban churches, suburban churches, and rural churches, looking at the different ways that churches are equipping the saints to do the ministry so needed in the African American community. We were selected as a rural representative, and a focus was placed on our health ministries because we've had a comprehensive health outreach program with our parish nurses and with our churches here in town. When they found out about our community garden, they were instantly excited about it. One of the things that we were told when we met with Dr. Pollard was that there are very few African American congregations that are promoting community gardens. In many of our cities, we have community gardens that are serving African American populations, but the majority of them are produced and managed by predominantly white congregations. And he said, to his knowledge, we were the only African American congregation that was doing this, especially in a rural environment.
Mrs. Antoine, how did it make you feel when you came up with this notion and you mentioned it to Reverend Jones that he bought into the idea?
Well, at first when the project was offered to the parish nurses, it was a little daunting and a little overwhelming because we didn't know where we were going to go with it. And then, of course, in talking to Reverend Jones and speaking with Reverend Jones and taking it to the board, and they accepted it. And we were blessed to have had Mr. George Parris, who worked with the state cooperative agency, to assist us in getting everything rolling and off the ground. So we were just blessed to be able to start our garden and for it to be successful for 2 seasons.
So the administrators was on board, Reverend Jones. How is the congregation accepting the notion?
The congregation has been terribly supportive in our efforts. We have members of the congregation that have come out to help us plant, to help us harvest. We have members who regularly come out as a part of their exercise regimen. In the fall, we planted collard greens, which was kind of easy to do because you only harvested them when folks wanted to get greens. But with the spring garden, with the okra and the tomatoes and the pole beans and so on and so forth, we had to work the garden 3-4 days a week in order to harvest the vegetables and not have them die on the vine. So that got to be a little labor intensive. But fortunately, we had members who were committed to come out to work with us in harvesting the crop. And after that, we've had a great number of members who were supportive in getting the produce that has been harvested, providing a small donation for the effort. The proceeds from the donations will be used to put in the fall garden, just as we use the proceeds from the fall garden to help put in the spring garden, so that it will be a sustainable situation. Most grantors look for operations where they can kind of come alongside you, but they expect you to have a sustainability project or sustainability element in your project. And our sustainability element is soliciting donations for the produce that the garden produces.
And what are you coming up with out of this garden, Mrs. Antoine, that's going to help these young people that you basically set out to assist and help and make healthier?
Well, our major focus was to provide healthy vegetables at an affordable price, because it's felt that we are in a food desert, and as I had stated earlier, I don't think Macon County is exactly a food desert, because the grocery stores are accessible, but we are in a desert in the fact that a lot of parents, the younger parents, don't know how to prepare healthy vegetables. They're used to instant box mix foods and that kind of thing, but to prepare fresh vegetables in a healthy manner is what we were trying to accomplish, and I think we have accomplished that. We've taken some of the vegetables and prepared them so that they can be tasted. For instance, today we have the eggplants that were cooked in olive oil, for like the eggplant parmigiana, not cooked in grease. It was cooked in olive oil, and then the low-fat cheese was added to it, and turkey sausage can be added to make it also a low-fat vegetable, so that they can get used to the taste of these kinds of things other than McDonald's and Burger King.
Now, we are into family and friends day to day with food being served. Was some of our vegetables included in this food service today?
Yes, we had the eggplant parmesan, well, it was eggplant casserole that was served today with the low-fat cheese and the...
Okay, so what is it, Reverend Jones, you want other ministers to realize about this? Is it worthy for them to consider?
Oh, absolutely. I'm pleased to report that a couple of my colleagues are entertaining the idea of doing similar operations at their churches. One of the things that we're blessed with in our small rural community, unlike some urban areas, many of us have a pretty good little bit of space where we can put in a small garden that can supplement the diets and the foods of our congregants and folks in our community. One of the things that the East Alabama Food Bank refers to, we're not, as Sister Antoine said, we're not technically a food desert, but we do have people who are food insecure. In other words, if they have a limited amount of resources, they'll choose to buy what's on sale or what's cheapest, which in many cases would end up being grits, potatoes, rice, and things of that nature, and tend to shy away from the fresh vegetables. We hope to give them an opportunity to provide fresh vegetables at a very low, moderate price.
And ours is very low because we just take donations, whatever it is they can afford for the fresh vegetables is what we accept as payment.
Okay, thank you all so very much.
All right.